Welcome back to the channel. Don't mind the wind noise in the background. It's a little windy today, but today we are going to get the BX fired up, get the transmission oil warmed up a little bit, close to what we have in the service manual, and then we're going to do a pressure test on the oil going to the PTO clutch, and start troubleshooting and possibly start repairing the PTO issues on this BX. Okay, I got the tractor outside warming up. It's probably been going for about 15 minutes, and we'll go get it pulled back inside. We'll get the left rear tire pulled off, and then I got my gauge set up here. I got some thread sealant, got my page from the service manual. But we're basically looking for operating pressure is 150 to 180 PSI. So get the tractor in here, we'll get it hooked up and test it. All right, I showed you, I think, in the previous video, but this right here, this piece is the linkage. And then this center part here, not the plug, but the center sort of oval type circle looking piece, that is the actual hydraulic valve that goes into the transmission. So we're gonna pull this plug out and we'll connect our pressure gauge. I'll grab a rag just in case some fluid comes out of here. I did get just a little bit of fluid last time I pulled this out. I'm getting a little bit of fluid again, not much. All right, I forgot to hit the record button as I was putting the gauge in. As you can see though, it is a very tight fit between the hex portion, I don't know if there's a glare there, between the hex portion of this fitting and the frame rail there. So we got our gauge. We're gonna fire the tractor up and engage a PTO and see what we get here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that gauge. I'm getting a funny glare off from outside, but I'll show you here in a second. Shut the tractor back off. I engaged and disengaged the PTO about 3 times. I got zero reading of any kind on this gauge. I didn't see any leakage. If there was any leakage around that fitting, it was extremely minimal, so I would have seen some kind of pressure. So I feel like I'm not getting any, when I engage a PTO, I'm not getting any pressure to this valve, at least to this test hole here. So I'm gonna look at the pages I printed out of the manual again and see what it recommends. I know one thing I do remember reading was it could be a faulty relief valve. So we'll look into that and see. So the manual doesn't give a lot of guidance here if your pressure isn't satisfactory. It basically says it's not the same as factory. Check the relief valve and related hydraulic components, which I would guess is pretty much everything. All right, we're gonna do a little test here. See if we can't get some play in this frame rail without removing the entire transmission. So we'll see what happens. All right, I didn't record running all these bolts out, but there's 12 here. You see I have them set in order. There's 2 different sizes. Basically, these 4 here are slightly smaller size. So we'll get the camera set back up here, see what else is holding that piece of frame rail. I know there's the guard here, the little extremely small skid plate that they put in to try and protect the HST fan. So we'll get that pulled off. We'll see what kind of movement we have in this frame rail. I know right now it moves slightly when I got some of the bolts out, but it's still pretty tight, but it's also being held in by that, so we'll see. All right, there is a nut on the back side of that, I forgot. All right, that shield has enough play in it. I'm not gonna disconnect the other side right now. I'll grab the camera here and I'll show you, drop down a little bit. All right, so we got the 2 bolts out for that. As you can see, it's not gonna hold us up here. There's so much else here though connected to the frame. I'm not real confident that we're gonna be able to do much without actually just pulling the whole transaxle, so, but we'll see. We're gonna keep trying. Did a little bit of prying here. I should have turned the camera on. I don't know if you can see the bolt holes. Got this frame rail down a little bit. I'll get the camera set up here. There's a little bit of play in it. I think I can get some wooden wedges here at the back. Pry it out, get some wedges in there to hold it out. But before we do that, I got a little, set the light down. I'm gonna take these, there's a nut and a jam nut on this. Take that off and drop this lever down out of the way. And I want to get the linkage disconnected from the PTO valve and get everything ready, get in there. So if I can get this frame rail away enough, I don't know if you can see the light and all the dirt, that one nut just to the left of the PTO valve, that is the nut for the keeper. That is all that holds that PTO valve in there. If you have access, super easy to remove. One nut and it slides straight out. There's 2 O-rings on it. I'll show you a picture from the service manual. All right, these 2 jam nuts and the head of the bolt on the back side, they're all 17 millimeter. So, some wrenches on here. Make sure I just have the one jam nut. I'm gonna try and loosen them both. It's tough to get my hands in here and stay out of the way of the camera. All right, those were tight. All right, for now, it's gonna be easier to put all this back on. Okay, that's out of the way. Next thing I'm gonna do is take these 2 nuts off here, which will remove the shift linkage. This is just the lever, the handle, or the lever goes up to the handle for the shift linkage. So we'll get those off next. They look like they are 12 millimeter. I'm gonna grab a wrench. This is a, you see that's a carriage bolt type design. No washer, has a, I forget what you call these right now, but the nut with the flat built into it. Okay, I got both of those removed. I'm just gonna set them off to the side here. Then we'll try and get that linkage slid out of the way. There is a spring attached to it there that I wasn't looking for, so we'll have to, I'm sure that'll be fun to reattach. There's a slot in the top here. There's a movable piece. There's a slot just for this side, at least, just slides on there. So we'll probably reconnect that first on reassembly. You can see the valve there. Linkage removed. It's hard to get good light in here. That's a little better. So I don't have enough hands to hold the camera and the light and show you how I can move this frame rail, but that's what we'll work on next. I'm gonna get a couple wood wedges together, and the idea, let me see if I put this light down here. The idea will be to put wood wedges in here, pry that rail out, get some wedges in there to hold it out, and then get the light again. That nut back there, get it loosened up, or I'm sorry, that's a bolt. Get that bolt loosened up. That's the keeper, and see if we can't slide this valve straight out. I'm gonna fire up my air compressor first and blow a lot of that dirt out of there. A lot of that got knocked loose when I was working on this. I just took the air compressor, blew everything out. Without the light here, it's not quite as obvious, but I was surprised with the amount of dirt that came out. Here's just kind of a look. Can't really see it all, but just to give you an idea. And that just all came from this area right around here. I thought I did a pretty good job. Anytime I use the tractor before I put it away, I get the leaf blower and blow off basically just the whole thing. I just get dirt, grass, leaves, anything that's there out, but I guess you just, with this spread open, the way I have it right now, and the air compressor, you can just get a lot more out. So there's some areas in there where it can trap a decent amount of dirt. So I have that spaced out, maybe 1.5 inches, about that. Try to get the light out of the way. So you can see, I have some space there now. I have some room to work with. The problem though still is you can only lower this frame rail so much because of, hold the light. Obviously the axle tube's coming out. Could I go more? Maybe. We're gonna try moving some things around, see if we can get a little more. Every little bit's gonna help here, so. And I also don't know for sure, it's tough to tell from the picture in the service manual how long that valve actually is. I can't tell if it's about 1.5 inches long inside the case or if it's longer than that, so we'll find out. All right, this is a 12 millimeter socket. I'm gonna use a universal here just because that frame rail where it's at, so. See if I can get on there. I slipped off that time. Might have to go to a 1/4 inch. Yeah, I'm gonna go to a 1/4 inch drive just to get a shorter universal. It's hard to get your fingers in there on that bolt, but it's almost out. And then I'll pull the keeper off, and then we'll slide the valve out and see how far it comes out. Okay, it's about a 1/2, 3/4 inch long bolt. So if I get my hands on the keeper here, there it is. And that's all that keeper is, just bolt goes through it and it keeps that valve pressed in. Trying to find a good place to keep this light, but okay, there's spring tension on that valve. There's a spring behind it, so that's what you saw there when I got it off that stop. Okay, and I have it out part way here, but I'm about to hit the frame rail, so let's see what I can do. It's very close to being out all the way, but it's not. Try something else here. All right, I got the frame rail space out a little more, and I pried down on it slightly with the crowbar here. We got the valve out. Let me make sure I'm not losing too much fluid here, and then we'll take a good look at this valve. All right, here we have the valve out. This is the first I've looked at it also, so we'll get the spring off of here. We'll take a look. I did get a little dirt on it pulling it out. I'm trying to get the focus here. There's one of the small flow orifices. There's another one, and that one appears it might have something in it. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the camera focused. I'm gonna take the rag, I'm gonna wipe off all this dirt, then we'll take another look. If I can keep the camera focused. I'm looking at the valve and not doing a good job of keeping the camera away so it stays focused on it. I'm probably gonna break this video into 2 parts, just because I've recorded quite a bit more than what I originally intended. But I think if someone is going through to try and do this repair, it's probably all stuff that would be useful. So I'll break this into 2 parts, just so it's not one super long video. But